It's a chair.
Oh.
He's sitting in the chair.
Oh, here, come here, look, because he's not going anywhere.
Okay, you go sit over there then. He's literally sitting in the chair.
He is straight up sitting.
I was very excited to get this particular investigation lined up because, well, the Sister Century house had a lot of interesting history to it. It's right off the canal, downtown Canal Fulton. It's connected to some of the other historical buildings. I was pretty stoked about it.
So my name is Ashley Parson, and this is Sister Century House Restaurant in Canal Fulton, Ohio. The building is very old. It was built in 1870. This building, before it was a restaurant, used to be a funeral home. It used to be a mortuary and a funeral home, and the downstairs is where they cremated bodies.
Like, there's so many dead people in here. There's so many dead people in here. They're like stacked. They're stacked up and up and up. They're stacked like everywhere.
I thought that was a phenomenal hit that she picked up on. There was body stacking there. Because there was. I mean, they had a room that was like their ice room where they would keep the bodies on ice pretty much and keep them chilled.
I don't know, it keeps smelling like an old man's smoke or something. Like, do you smell that?
Mm-hmm.
You do?
Yeah.
It's like old cigar smoke, kind
like
of.
musty, but like not.
It's
dirty.
not like the basement, but
Almost,
it's
yeah.
like a. It's definitely like, hey, there's a gentleman's presence
Yeah.
here.
Back in the old days, they used to use things like the smell of tobacco and perfume to mask the smell of decomposing bodies. So for the mediums to pick up on that and some of the team members to actually experience it and smell it, that's pretty cool validation.
There are so many dead people here. Skinny ones, there are children, there are women, there are soldiers, there are police, there's even dead animals in here. This had to have been something like, I don't know what you guys are not telling us about this place, and I know we don't ever talk about it beforehand. This is like a house for the dead.
It feels sad, honestly, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way or bad way. It reminds me of when I walk into a funeral home and just that very like somber feeling. It's very somber, it's very busy.
And the mediums had no prior knowledge and no knowledge even on the way there of exactly where they were even going.
All that stuff they were saying about, being somber in here, like it was a funeral, lots of bodies. Yeah, it used to be a funeral home. It used to be where they cremated bodies and prepared the dead.
When Canal Fulton was a booming canal town, the canal ships would come down. A lot of times they would park pretty nearby, and there was a local bar kind of across the street in Caddy Corner from where this restaurant now resides. People would stop, have drinks, have a good time, and then mysteriously sometimes they never came out of the bar. Nobody ever saw them again.
There used to be fights over there, and when somebody would die, they would pay the bar owner over there, and they would drag the dead body through the tunnel that connects our two buildings, and then they would pay whoever was working at the funeral home and burn the body. So there's no body, no crime.
Not only did you have supposed murders happening at the bar and getting transported over to the mortuary, but you're also right off the canal. And on the canal, it's notorious that Irishmen who worked on that canal would pass away while they were working on it. And supposedly for like every mile, there's like 4 dead Irishmen along that route. And they would just bury them in a shallow grave right next to the canal. So you could absolutely have, a residual haunting or potentially an intelligent haunting coming off that canal into that restaurant. Well, I would believe that would definitely rev up any type of paranormal activity, because you have multiple people who were, potentially murdered, and their bodies were disposed of, and nobody ever knew what happened to them. They had families and people who cared about them, I'm sure. that never got answers on what happened to their loved ones. So that would be enough to cause spirit from the other side to be a little bit at unrest, I would think.
If you guys leave me alone.
Hey, I have a question, and it might sound kind of silly, but this is a legitimate question. Do spirits ever sometimes like tickle you or something? Like, do you get like a tickling feeling behind your neck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
sometimes it'll feel like spider webs, or sometimes it'll feel like static.
Okay,
That's
then
what I
I've been
just
being
felt.
touched for like the entire time you're listening to that EVP. There's been something behind me, and it's still there touching my neck.
It's always cool when you have people on site to have personal experiences. It would be great to be able to validate those experiences. I have no doubt that Sam experienced really happened, because Sam's never claimed to be touched before on an investigation. Unfortunately, I just have no way to actually prove it.
Can you touch my hand? I got the chills everywhere.
Yeah, I'm getting. There is a stick figure right there. I know this is recording too, but I'm gonna just point
What's
this
your
right here
name?
too. I wonder if it might be mapping whatever that thing is. Let me walk over. I'm gonna put my flashlight on and I'm gonna check.
So we can debunk it. There's nothing over there that would look like a stick figure.
I thought the SLS figure in the basement was pretty neat, because it was sitting in a chair in a location in that basement that we had all kind of picked up some vibes in that. So nothing to validate those vibes except for the SLS figure, but we all kind of felt like that room felt a little heavier, a little different than the rest of the basement. And it was actually right next door to when the building was used as a mortuary, to where they used to stack the bodies.
Well,
It's a chair.
oh,
He's sitting in the chair.
oh, here, come here, look, because he's not going anywhere.
Okay, you go sit over there then. He's literally sitting in the chair.
He is straight up sitting in that chair.
You're telling us Kim, Dominate, and Portal. What are you trying to say?
Yeah, I mean, when they were early on, Pearson was trying to do an EMF session, and the readings were going through the roof.
It is going crazy. I just noticed that. I'm so used to hearing pointless noise around my house. I didn't even.
Is it possible the stereo's music next door?
I mean, not that far. I would assume
It
not.
shouldn't. Do you want to? There's a lot of overhead light fixtures. Do you want to hold
But
it
look,
around?
it's.
Oh,
see?
it's.
I might just turn it off and use the obelisk in the recorder because it's just beeping.
He had actually approached me about it, and upon further investigation, that area of the restaurant had very high levels of EMF, which is kind of interesting, because EMF can create a lot of different things at a location. You know, it can make you feel uneasy. Some cases, if they're high enough, they can actually make you hallucinate, or if somebody's really sensitive to the EMF.
Steven. Is your name Steven?
No, I mean, I thought it was pretty neat. Anytime you can get a name and somebody could potentially validate the name, that's always a win, especially when you have no prior knowledge of a potential spirit's name. That's pretty cool that came through.
Well, I'll tell you what she just told me. When
Okay.
she heard us say Steve, she said she's been geeking to come back and talk to us because there was a guy who came here for every morning for breakfast. Could be, like I said, early.
Uh-huh.
And he would build them fires.
Okay.
And I don't know if he recently died or whatever, but he like was older and died at home.
Okay.
But he always sat at that table. But his name was Steve McLean.
Do we know that for sure? No, because again, not enough evidence. We didn't get enough responses to validate that for us.
It's more like the tunnel canal related.
Could be.
Just based on what he's been saying, with this body being in pieces and chains and trapped and.
Well, the thing about the obulus, and you can talk to Trevor about it too. Sometimes it gives you very sporadic things.
I know. Like, we just got Cupcake.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, a lot of times you have to disregard what comes through there.
Okay.
But not saying if it's not valid. but
Yeah.
sometimes you can take a hard left turn quick.
Trapped, hidden, chained. I mean, it's hard to say. It's really speculation. I mean, there were the underground tunnels that ran all underneath Canal Fulton, and the one tunnel you could clearly see from the restaurant had ran out of there. So is there potential that maybe something from the Underground Railroad or something else was going on? Yeah, sure. But is there any historical facts to back that up now? Our medium Missy had drawn a apparition that would appear unclothed. That was pretty neat because the owner of the restaurant was able to validate that after we showed up on site.
Yeah, my sister saw a full-bodied apparition of a naked woman.
So kind of like the picture that Missy drew.
Both of them drew her. Yeah. No, that's my sister's story, and that's why I was saying there's other stories. They're just not my stories, but they are stories of this building.
She had red hair, I think, when I saw her too. I put red-haired woman in young. I also saw like the really depressed crying woman. And sometimes when a woman shows me she has red hair, it just means she had a lot of like mental health issues because she's showing me the like focus on the head, which like I know that's like not good if they had actual red hair in real life,
Maybe she was
but
bloody. Maybe there was murder here.
you know what? My spirit guides don't show me blood, so that's a really good
maybe
possibility.
That's the way that you could interpret.
Yeah, that's a good possibility actually.
We've had other psychics come through and tell us that her story is that supposedly her husband was drowning in the Tuscarawas River, which is just behind us here. And it was in wintertime. And she went to save her husband, so she took all of her clothes off to jump in to save her husband so she'd have dry clothes when she got back and out of the water. But when she jumped in the river, she hit a rock and died.
I thought it was pretty significant because it's just another validation from a medium on the same type of spirit that there was a female that was there and present with some type of relation or connection to the canal that's just right behind the building. So yeah, definitely fascinating.
So yeah, both of them drew her as a naked woman who was blue, cold, wet, red hair, could possibly be a head injury,
We talked about that.
mental, yeah.
Yeah.
So all of that,
It correlates.
it all correlates, all of it. Pretty much everything they wrote down in their journals and said, I have an answer for.
I thought it just kind of validated, what had been discussed about the history of the location, that they were actually able to pick up on the fact that there had been sightings of a naked apparition.
Her. It's a female.
Okay.
I am here.
Okay.
She was
Are you
Help me. Oh, frantic lady.
Okay.
Oh, frantic lady.
Okay.
Are you looking for your husband?
Well, the frantic woman that came through, I mean, absolutely, it could have been related to the, what we'll call the naked apparition woman that supposedly haunts this location. Yeah, it could definitely be her.
The frantic woman died. You died trying to get your husband
Yes.
out of the canal.
Yeah.
Yes, you died trying to get your husband out of the canal.
Yes.
Yes, and that's how you died.
And the SD session is always a great part of our investigation because it really does seem to produce results. And when we do the SD session, some people out there may go, oh, that's hogwash because, you're just scanning radio signals. It does scan radio signals. However, the one that we use, you can disable the antenna on it. So unless it's something that's right near the spirit box, it's not going to pick it up. So it's not going to pick up like radio chatter, unless it would be right there, and it's very rare. So
More lies.
Money.
did somebody take your money and kill you?
The last time they talked about
Mystery?
lies,
I don't
they
know what that
talked about
means.
the funeral home.
Were you at the bar at the other side of this tunnel and someone take your money and lie to you and then kill you?
No.
I can do it again.
Yeah.
It's fine.
This is getting really weird. There's a lot of people, and it's like
Brain scrambling because there's so many talking at the same time.
it's
It's
just
hard to
like
make out
different
what they're
people, and I
saying.
can feel the changes.
It could have been difficult to really pick up on what they were trying to say because there were so many spirits at the same time who had possibly passed on the canal or had passed away and been there for the mortuary or had passed away and been carried through the tunnel. I mean, there's been a lot of death that's happened at that location. So is it possible that maybe there was just a huge crowd of them trying to all talk at the same time? Sure.
I feel kind of nauseated all of a sudden.
That's what happened to me.
Jess fell.
Wild Jess.
It said
fell.
Jess earlier tonight too. I thought it was really cool that we got the name Jess and something about falling, because later on in the evening when we had spoke with Ashley, the owner, Ashley had told us when we brought it up if she knew, because we asked her, hey, do you know anything about the name Jess or a fall? And she goes, oh my gosh, she goes, there actually supposedly was somebody who fell, it was a child, fell down one of the sets of stairs, and she believed it was the basement stairs near where we were doing our SD session.
Yeah, I don't know. Right as soon as I stood at the top of the stairs, I got this like real blip clear vision of this person just falling and landing flat face down.
Again, Megan picking up on somebody falling down the stairs, it's also just more validation that we had picked up on the spirit of this girl named Jess.
Creation of the Almighty Lord, you have the free choice, even in spirit, without a physical body. Yes, you don't have to stay here.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Can I be done with this?
Yes.
I would just like to say that, you know, this was a great location. The history is just beautiful when you're trying to go out and investigate. We had some personal experiences, definitely some feelings, some interesting things on the Estes. However, did we get enough evidence to 100% say this place is haunted? Unfortunately, no. I wish there was. But I will say this, there's some type of residual energy still there for sure. And maybe if there was more investigations, maybe we would be able to validate that there's some type of intelligent haunting going on there.